What's going on, everybody? I'm Terrence, and this is Bank Shipping. So, sitting up here in Bedford, Pennsylvania, waiting to get my load, and I figured I'd talk to you guys a little bit more about how I got my start. So, rewind some years back, and I was on a career path to being a fireman. I started off as a volunteer, then went overseas to Iraq as a contract fireman. Then when I got done with that, I came home and started working for a local department. Now, the whole time that I was a fireman, I always wanted to drive a truck, but life had other plans as far as my career path. I did a lot of research, while I was a fireman, did a lot of research trying to figure out how I could drive as well to satisfy both of those, but just never found it fit. So as a fireman, I worked 24-hour shifts, and I worked about 8 days a month. So I had plenty of idle time and was always trying to find side gigs to make some extra money. So I found a side gig with a local business doing some deliveries of some lawnmowers that they had sold. They had a pickup truck and a little landscaping trailer that I come in on my days off, and I deliver those to the people who bought them or picked them up for repairs and brought them back to the shop. And so all the while I was doing this, I thought, why can't I do this for myself? Because there was times that their truck was broke down, so I used my truck to pull along their trailer, and I'm just thinking, I could be working for myself doing this. Now, mind you, I had done some research about hotshot stuff before, but everything that I was seeing was leading to saying, you can't do it part-time. It's a full-time commitment. If you do it part-time, the insurance will kill you as far as the cost. And so I just kind of put it on the back burner. But after I did that little side job delivering lawnmowers, it kind of came back into fruition. So I did some more research, and I still kept seeing the same thing about not being able to do it as a side job. A lot of people said you couldn't do it as a local driver because it just wasn't enough work. But I'm not really the type of person to let somebody tell me what I can do or what I can't do or what I'm capable of. Because me knowing me, I know my mentality. Only I know what I'm capable of. I know my determination. And only you as a person can determine what your dynasty or what your future is going to look like. So I didn't let anybody stop me. So did some more research, kept on researching, and I saw where there was a lot of car haulers in my area. It seemed like the car hauling market was flooded. So I didn't want to do car hauling, so I thought about maybe I'll do a flatbed. That way I can haul freight, and if I want to haul, some vehicles, I still have the ability to do so. So started looking around, doing some more research. I researched for years and years before I started this business up, and finally I pulled the trigger. I talked to a couple people about quotes on insurance. And when I got those quotes, I was like, you know what? I probably can make this work on my days off. So I started going around the local businesses, seeing if they had a need for anything like a hot shot that could haul some smaller stuff, some LTL stuff, or some expedited freight. And it seemed that the need was kind of there. Some people seemed like they were kind of turned off about the idea of hot shot, but I was determined to change that. So I found a couple places that were willing to do so. So the next step was to go forth and figure out my equipment. So like I said, I already had the truck, but it was a single rear wheel. So I wanted something a little more apt to doing the job of towing. So I was looking for a dually. And I found a couple dualies, and I said, well, maybe I'll trade my truck in on a dually. That way, I have something else and something more apt to doing the towing job. But then I was like, my truck's almost paid off. Do I really want to start all over again with another payment? Because, business 101 is you always want to keep your overhead low. So I had a buddy of mine that had a 2009 Ram 3500 that was a dually that he was trying to sell. So worked out a deal with him, and we ended up swapping axles and bids, and got my truck painted and everything. So then boom, I got a dually. So the next step, I needed a trailer. So I started looking for trailers and everything. I could have bought a new trailer. I was looking at some used trailers. Once again, wanted to keep my overhead low, since I wasn't doing it full time. So I wasn't going to be making the money that somebody running full time would. So I wanted to make sure I kept my overhead relatively low. So I ended up finding a used trailer from a gentleman in Maryland. It was in great shape, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger on that, and paid cash for it. So now I have a truck and a trailer that is pretty much paid off. So I have no overhead there. I had a little bit of money set aside that I allotted to start this business. So the next step was, doing it the legit way, as far as, getting your DOT and your own authority and things like that. And then I slowly realized that there was a lot of things as far as paperwork that I had no idea that I was supposed to do. Because, during my research, it was more about, how much money you can make, if you can do it on the side, how much does insurance cost. I didn't do anything about the business side. I didn't research anything about the business side. So once I got to researching about the business side, I found out there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know about. So I established my LLC and all that, and I actually ended up going through a compliance company that got my DOT number, my MC for my own authority, my BOC3, and my drug and alcohol consortium and all that. Paid a little bit of money for them to do that, but in my opinion, it was worth it because it gave me peace of mind that everything was done correctly and everything that needed to be done was done. So once I did that, went forth with the whole ordeal, got my insurance and everything, I started running on the side. Now, of course, at first, it was pretty hard getting started because a lot of brokers and things like that don't work with you when you got a new authority. But I was lucky enough to have one brokerage in my area that I had talked to previously that was able to give me a couple loads. So on my days off, I would run those loads. And as time went on, I was getting more and more calls about, can you take this here? Can you take this there? And I wasn't able to because I was still working at the fire department. One good thing about starting this up on the side was I could afford to not be running every day right off the bat. If I didn't have a load, it was okay because the fire department essentially was paying my bills. And then I was able to slowly start up on the business because I had a backup as far as money goes. So as time went on, got more and more calls about loads. I couldn't do them. And I felt like I was letting the people down that I had told I would move their stuff. So I ran for about 1.5 years on the side, and it was doing great. But I was kind of running myself ragged as far as working at the fire department and then being on the road. And I finally had to sit down conversation with my wife, and we agreed. We ran some numbers and talked about, the money that I'm losing out on by not being able to run loads because I'm working at the fire department versus the money that I'm making at the fire department. So we agreed, and it came down to it was time to let the fire department go and focus fully on my business. So I decided I left the fire department, even though it was something hard because I thought, I would retire as a fireman. That was the only thing I ever saw myself doing. But when I got into the business, I just fell in love with it. So I left the fire department and started running full time. And so therefore I was able to meet my customers' needs as far as, not saying I have to work another job. And I don't know when I'll be able, to get to your freight. That pretty much was cut out because now I was solely focused on running my business. So as time went on, gained some more customers, gained an owner operator, and so now here I am 4 years and some change later, after starting the business. And, you know, I have one company truck, one owner operator, you know, and it's been great so far. So just wanted to throw that out there real quick before I go in here and grab this load, and I'll get back with you guys shortly. All right, finally here at the drop-off point in Baltimore. Looks like the rain's gonna hold off for us so we don't get too wet while we try to unload this bucket here. They want me to come over here on this concrete pad to get unloaded. Ran into a little bit of rain coming down 70. Got kind of nasty there for a while. And of course, you all know, as soon as a little bit of rain hits the road, people don't know how to drive. So that was lovely. So we're gonna get unloaded here, and I'll be back with y'all here in a little bit. So we got everything unchained, got our chains and binders put away. We just waiting on this guy up here to come unload us. He said he was going to get a loader to attach to the bucket to unload it, but that's not a loader. So we'll see how this goes. Now that that's unloaded, we'll get the paperwork, get it signed, and I'll see y'all in a little bit. We have got our load dropped off. We've got home safely. I've done a quick post-trip inspection, and we are done for the day. If y'all have any more questions about how I got my start, or any other questions in general, feel free to comment below and ask those questions. Moral of the story is, don't let anybody, no matter what, dictate what your future holds. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and as always, stay prayed up, grind hard, and stay humble.